I don't think it makes any sense, because then when you're suturing both the muscles together of the opposite compartment, you will have a scar exactly in the midline. So when you are suturing a muscle to bone, that is what is called as myodesis. So when I was preparing, like, you have to remember it like this: muscle to muscle, that is myoplasty; muscle to bone, that is myodesis. Hello everyone, today we will be discussing a very important MCQ which is on your screens right now. Myodesis is employed in amputations for all of the following indications, except before you read the options, I'm sure some of you are wondering what the hell is myodesis. Some of you are wondering, well, I've heard of arthrodesis, I've heard of myositis, I've heard of arthroplasty. What is this myodesis? I'll make it simple for you. Please understand that when you are doing amputation in a child, just apply some logic, you will understand what I'm trying to say. So when you are doing amputation in a child, then there is a problem. I'll tell you what that problem is. See, you have cut the bone. Okay. You have cut the bone. So technically the growth of the bone will stop. But what about the muscles? It's an 8-year-old child where you've done an amputation. The growth of the bone will have to stop since you have cut it. But sooner or later the boy will enter puberty. There will be influence of hormones, growth hormone and everything, and because of that the muscles will grow. They won't grow, they will overgrow. And it is quite possible that all these muscles can overgrow and they can go onto the amputation stump, the final skin stump, and they can produce some swelling over there. So what people decided initially, they said, we won't let it happen. So they came up with a solution. Let me name that solution here. That solution was called as myoplasty. What they said we will suture one group of muscles to another group of muscle. Let's say flexors will be sutured to extensors, abductors to adductors, and so on and so forth. That is basically called as myoplasty. So when you are suturing a muscle to another muscle of the opposite compartment, that is what is called as myoplasty. I don't think it makes any sense, because then when you're suturing both the muscles together of the opposite compartment, you will have a scar exactly in the midline. And when you will have scar exactly in the midline, flaps will be of equal length and it will not be a very good option. So a better option is not to suture muscles of the opposite groups. The better option is to take the entire muscle group, fix it with bone, suture it with bone. Take this entire muscle group, suture it with bone. Then take another group, suture it with bone. Another group, suture it with bone. So when you are suturing a muscle to bone, that is what is called as myodesis. So when I was preparing, like, you have to remember it like this: muscle to muscle, that is myoplasty; muscle to bone, that is myodesis. Alright, now please understand that when you are suturing muscle to bone, of course via drill hole, you will make a drill hole in the bone and then you will pass the muscle from there. That is what is called as myodesis. Of course, flaps are of an equal length, better limb control, scar is at the anterior end. Now I'll come to the point, I'll come to the question. You have understood the fundamental difference between myoplasty and myodesis. Now I'll come to the fundamental point. The fundamental point is that when you are doing amputation in a child, can you people think that what can be the possible reasons behind it? See, one possible reason, let me tell you, is trauma. Child was crossing the road, a car ran over him, ran over his leg. There's such a kind of open fracture, massive injury, soft tissue injury, bony injury, skin injury, that it cannot be repaired. So that's a kind of a traumatic amputation. Then they will come to an orthopedic surgeon. He will give the proper shape and everything. So that is one indication. Second indication, if you can imagine, is tumor. There's some childhood malignancy in the lower limb, and for that the bone has to be removed. So whenever you are doing an amputation in a child, either because of T for trauma, T for tumor, myodesis is indicated. Can you imagine other reasons for doing amputation in a child? I'll tell you. Another reason for doing amputation in a child is ischemia. I hope you people have heard of something called necrotizing fasciitis or gas gangrene or something like that. So if you're doing amputation in a child because of an infective condition, of course, to save the rest of the body, or to save the child from entering into septicemia, you immediately took a call and chopped off the limb. But after that, do you think you'll be able to suture the muscle to bone? See, already everything is infected. Okay, I ask you a very simple question. If there's a dog bite, it's an infected wound. Will you suture it there and then? No. Infected wounds, you don't suture them, because it can further aggravate infection. So we don't do that. Another reason for doing amputation is ischemia, lack of blood supply. There is some reason. There's some generalized vascular issue. There is some localized vascular issue due to any cause. The limb is ischemic. You can't keep it. You have to chop it off. Will you suture the muscle to bone if you do amputation in a child because of ischemia? There's already lack of blood supply. It's not that there was only a lack of blood supply in the bone. It was in the complete limb. So there was some blockage from up there. So you chopped up the limb. After that, whatever muscles are left, you're not going to suture them, because please understand, every single suture bite that you will take, whether it is in the muscle or skin or anywhere or even in the bone, that is going to damage the blood supply even more. Come on, tell me yes or no. Yes. So what we have understood is, that if you are doing amputation in a child, either because of T for trauma or T for tumor, myodesis should be done. If you're doing amputation in a child either because of I for ischemia or I for infection, myodesis is contraindicated. I hope I make some sense. So trauma, yes. Tumor, yes. Children, yes. Ischemia, big no. Answer is this. I hope you understand this concept well. Let me tell you, this is a frequently asked question. You won't find this explanation anywhere. So if you've gone through it and if you've liked it, please share it with your fellow students, PG aspirants, your colleagues. Thank you so much.